when y'all look at this, y'all might think this Lorenz Tate sitting next to me. You know what I'm saying? Don't be asking me about Love Jones 2. Don't be asking me about Dead Presidents 2. Don't be asking me about Inkwell 2. Don't ask me about none of that.
Oh, man.
He ain't Governor Tate. This is my guy,
Hey.
Jerrel O'Neal, and he's killing the scene right now. So I can't wait to get into this story. What's up, Jerrel?
What up, though? I appreciate you, brother.
Oh man, thank
Come
you,
on.
man. Thank
Come
you.
on.
You hit me up and told me you was going because we tried to make it work that first time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But when you come in town and it's like that short window,
Yeah.
it's hard, bro,
It's tough,
to get around
man.
everybody.
It's tough, man. It's very tough, man. You got a family, friends, all that. You know how it goes. So.
What do you do when you come back? Do you make it a point to go visit everybody, or do you tell everybody like, "Yo, I'm at this one location. If y'all want to check me out, come here."
You know what's crazy? I've been gone, man, at this point for about 18 years.
Damn.
It didn't even seem like that, man. But, you know, when I come home, usually when I first used to come home, and I would always like try to go meet everybody, pull up at people's house, you know. But now it's like, bro, I'm over that. I'm kind of like a veteran in the game. So it's like when I come home now, I just go to one location. I tell everybody pull up there.
Yeah.
If you see me, you see me. If you don't, that's your fault.
Then you
know what
missed
I'm
it.
saying? You
Absolutely.
missed it.
And you don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, nah, because I ain't stretching myself thin for nobody no more,
Yeah.
man. It'd be a lot. And when you come home, all the people that I love are here, all my hometown friends, that stuff. So it's so many people, especially for the things I'm doing in life. They like, bro, and it's like, I can't do all that, man. I just one location, we good.
So where did you grow up, on the east or the west side of Detroit?
I grew up on the east side of Detroit, actually, man. East side 7 Mile.
What?
So yeah, bro, I'm an east side boy. You know what
Same
I'm
here.
saying?
I've been, man, most of the people I get who come on the show, they from the west.
That's crazy.
So
yeah.
they always clowning me about
Yeah,
stuff, but
always-
I'm east side too, all over
Come
east
on,
side,
man.
right down the street from Osborne.
Okay, word. I grew up over by Persian, but I was on
wow.
Bloom. Yeah, so I was like Keystone, Mound, Ryan, that area over there.
Yeah.
I went to Atkinson Elementary. You know what I'm saying? But
Atkinson. Okay, yeah.
Right over there on Finland. But then when I moved with my pops, I moved to the west side. And then I started going to Longfellow. So that's kind of like where my west side like era started. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah.
So who was in your household over there?
When I was with my mom on the east side, it was just me, my mom, and my brother. I got 3 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 4 boys.
Okay.
But my third oldest brother, Shantez, he actually stayed just him, me, and my mom stayed there because my pops and my mom got divorced when I was 3. So when we kind of grew up, it was just us 3 over there, just thugging it, you know, making it happen on the east side.
So you don't even remember the divorce. Everything you remember was pretty much
much after. I always say that, man, because that's the thing about, even I talk about that growing up in a family like that, right? It's like all my brothers got to see my parents together. I didn't actually get to see my parents together. You know what I'm saying? So out of us 4, I was the one that kind of just, when I came to in a way where I can remember things, it was like my mom was always by herself, my pops was always by himself, but they always shared unconditional love. So for me, it was always like, that's crazy, because that co-parenting thing, I feel like they're the true definition of it, man. Like,
healthy, huh?
Super healthy, man. Super healthy. So it was beautiful, bro.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow. Bro. Do you, like, you know, when you got old enough to understand the fact that, yeah, mommy and daddy at some point were married and were together, were you asking your brothers, like, how was it growing up in that dynamic, or not really, because it wasn't your normal?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Actually, I never asked that question. I never had to, because the love that my mother and my father exude for each other is just incredible, man.
So you never lacked anything.
I never lacked at all. You know what I'm saying? I never looked at it like, oh, my mom don't like my pops, and I mean, I wonder what, I see so many pictures as well, man, of very family oriented pictures where my moms and my pops and all of us were together when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they met each other in middle school, man. Wow. So they got married at what, 17, 18? You know what I'm saying? After they had my oldest brother. So they spent all 30-some years together. So it's like they love at this point, man. It's just they best friends still to this day, even though my dad is remarried. My mom isn't at the moment, but they best friends, bro. I never had to question they love. You know?
That's tough, though, man. A lot of times, man, families break apart. You know, the mother and father get a divorce. And when they get in that courtroom, or when they are in litigation and, you know, sitting in that room with the lawyers, it's almost as if they forget about all of that love and what got them together to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Man. And they look at each other as villains. So the fact that your mom and dad was able to still keep things amicable and do things in the best interest of their 4 kids, that says a lot about their character.
It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful being raised by my parents, because they have 2 different sides to them that it's almost like when it comes to my mom, her determination, her hard work, her drive, her ambition. I mean, I can see that in me every step of the way. And then when it comes to my father, his love, his compassion, his heart, his understanding about life, you know what I mean? His experience. And I get that from my father, and I feel like when you put that together, man, it's
Unstoppable.
beautiful. It's unstoppable, bro.
Wow. So you grew up, East 7 Mile near Persian High School, right?
Yeah.
So how did you? I mean, because I love Detroit, but there was so don't y'all be coming at me. But there's some temptation over there. How did you dodge all of the influences and stay out of trouble?
You know what's crazy, man? I grew up in a family where I'm the youngest of the generation, right? I grew up in late 80s, and so my oldest brother went to Persian, and he pretty much kind of set the standard. It's wild. All my other brothers went to Farwell, stuff like that. So by the time I was coming up, my mom knew, like, you ain't going there. Like, it's over, because they got enough trouble for you. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the place. And plus, I was always like one of those kids who just was always outside of the box, kind of very smart, driven kid. So she wanted me to go to a magnet school, so she sent me to Barber Magnet Middle School after I left Atkinson.
Yeah.
And when she sent me there, trash. I was like, bro, I can't do it. I can't do it. Coming from public schools, I can't do it.
A little too preppy.
Yeah, it's a little too. I mean, they was at the point where they was like, you got to wear your shirt tucked in your pants.
Yeah.
And you could wear whatever you wanted to. We wouldn't even know. I saw those kids coming to school with basketball jerseys tucked in their pants. I'm like, bro, this is whack. I can't. I can't.
How you gonna tuck the jersey in with the Air Force Ones?
It was weak. You had to have a belt on. I'm over this, bro. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But then after going there for about 6 weeks, I had sat down with a conversation with my mom and my dad. And my dad was like, well, since they've been divorced, I want to be able to raise one of my sons while he's like still young, and not just everybody being with me when they teenagers. You know what I mean? So my mom and my dad sat me down. They just had a conversation. She was like, do you want to live with your father? It's up to you. And I was in the 6th grade. I was like, yep.
It sounds like Boys in the Hood, right?
Yeah, bro, I was out.
Yeah.
I was out. I'm out of here. Yeah. And that's when I started going to Longfellow. So that's how I got to the West Side.
So what was the difference between living with your mom and now living with your dad?
It's crazy. I ain't gonna even hold you, bro. And because I keep it a buck. It's when I was with my mom, it was a lot freedom. I'm not gonna lie, because my mom worked so much, and it was just me and my brother. Bike rides all over the city, hanging out with friends. Time she wasn't there, we was wilding. You know what I'm saying? We really was. And then when I got with my pops, it was still a little bit more freedom, but it was more of like, this is the thing. When I moved with my dad, he had met who was my stepmom. Now they've been married for over 20 years.
Oh man,
but when I moved with him, he had just met her, and he was like, I want you to live with me. She got a couple of kids. It's all this. I'm like, dope. Now realizing that she actually had 4 kids, that was one of her kids wasn't even 1 yet. Then one of them, I believe, was 1, 5, and 6.
Oh, so you wasn't the youngest no more.
Nah. And so I was walking into that situation where I moved in with my dad, my stepmom, and her 4 children. So now I became the older, sibling in the house with all the kids, and I had to start watching kids. So it changed my whole dynamic as far as how I was as a kid, how much freedom I had as far as just being able to be. But it also kind of honed me in to just be able to like focus on family more, having more responsibility, to making sure that my little brothers and my little sisters was good. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of took that role because I realized that where I was in life, I was the example. I was the kid that was in school getting all the good grades, playing all the sports, doing all the things. And my little siblings, they looked up to that, man. They were inspired by that. So I kind of appreciated taking that role in my life, to be honest.
And it's not like one role is less important than the other. I think Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, said it best. He said, my mother taught me how to love and my dad taught me how to hunt.
Exactly.
And that's
exactly.
So you stand with him 6th grade and beyond. That was important to who you are today, pretty much.
Of course. It made everything about me, man, because, what my father has taught me is 2 things my father has always said. And one is experience is the best teacher. And that's something I never forget, because it's very true to life and anything that we go through. You can read 100 books. A person can tell you 1,000 things, but ain't nothing like actually going through it yourself. Until you actually have that experience, you really don't know. You can only just speak on what you may feel. And the second thing he always told me is be your own man. No matter what you do in life, just make sure you be your own man. You know what I'm saying? Stand up for yourself. Have character. Be disciplined. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what your situation is. You have kids, whatever you... Take care of your kid. You know what I'm saying? It's just the attitude of being your own man, bro.
So what were some of the conversations, like important conversations that you've had with your mama growing up that you remember to this day? Some of those lessons.
My mom, man, she allowed me to be a kid who thrived in life, to where it wasn't a lot she had to tell me in a way, because I wasn't a bad kid. For her, she was more surprised. My mom will tell you to this day, she always like, everything that this boy do in his life, I don't know where he got it from. She's like, all the things he's accomplished, all the awards he's won, the sports he done played, everything. Like, I don't know where this kid got it from, because he didn't get it from me. He didn't get it from his daddy. I'm also one of the first in my family to go to a college and get a degree, a 4-year university. I went to Alabama State University. You know what I'm saying? HBCU gang, shout out,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got to shout out Alabama State.
Shameless plug. We got to do that.
We got to, man, because the HBCU alumni, the people who have attended HBCUs, man, it's so deep in culture. It's just like, we got to represent that. And my mom just always allowed me to be the kid that I was. And she never kind of steered me in a direction. It was like, you're not doing good in school, or you're being too bad. It was just one of those things where she was like, I realize what your brothers did, and I don't want you going down that same path. You know what I mean? So allow me to try to make it better for you, which is why she sent me to Barber. That's why I went to Barber, because she was like, I want you to have a better opportunity and not kind of go down that same path as your brothers have, even though they weren't doing anything that was like outlandish or like, ending up in jail.
It's just with
it's
every
the environment,
you want to make sure. And I tell people this, like, my parents were great. And I'll be like, hey, man, it's just some things that I'm going to try to do a little differently. Yeah. And she's like, well, what's wrong with what I did? And it's like, no, it's iPhone 7, iPhone 8. Right. Every generation was supposed to improve. So it's not saying that your brothers wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing, but it's just getting better.
It's just getting better,
with
man.
Each kid. So that's the luxury of being the youngest, too.
Yeah, because you're able to take all that, right? I think even when it comes to my family, I'm very family oriented. All my cousins, we don't even consider ourselves like cousins. We like all brothers and sisters. That's how we all grew up, and we still that tight to this day. But being the youngest of that generation in the 80s, it was like I really got to watch everything that my brothers and my cousins went through, even the ones who weren't doing well in life as far as ended up in jail or may have been selling drugs, or, we in Detroit, man. So it's like I had almost every single angle of what you could do and what you shouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I kind of took all that in. And so for me, it was like, I just established that in my life. It was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is the move I'm going to make. This is what I don't want to do. And this is what I want to do. So
that take a lot though, because a lot of people would just follow that same blueprint.
Yeah.
But to see what happened prior to you and figure out how to deviate in a way that says a lot about your character.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things. I think it's a spiritual thing. I always tell people I'm not really big on like this religion thing, right? Because everybody has a religion they can follow. That's the belief in themselves.
It's like there's as many religions in the world as there are people.
Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? But I'm very spiritually
your relationship
driven.
with God is different.
It's different, man. And I'm very spiritually driven. You know what I'm saying? And that's my attitude about life. My attitude about life has always been that. It's just like, as long as you wake up, you received your first blessing of the day. You woke up. So at that point, you can create heaven wherever you go.
It's all about perspective, too.
It's all about perspective, bro.
So, okay, 4 brothers, right? 4 of y'all. 3 brothers, 4 of y'all. That came from your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
If you had to describe each one of y'all in 1 or 2 words, because y'all look alike. So
we all do. Bro.
You know what I'm saying? 1 or 2 words, how would you describe each of y'all?
It's crazy because I feel like it's like when it comes to my oldest brother, Chris, he is the most energetic, most lively guy. He's the one that want to keep the party going, always turned up, can never turn down. And that's just his energy to life. He's always like that, always a loving dude. My brother Darius, he's more of like the subtle one. He's kind of just reserved, more quiet. He love to have fun too, but he's kind of just intuitive about a lot of things. And he likes to sit back and just kind of be more aware. He's not the one that's going to be all out. He'll get down, but it's just his reserve and calm demeanor.
More like introspective kind of.
Way more introspective, you know what I'm saying? And then when it comes to my brother Shantez, he's super talented. He's an artist, man. He's a rapper, you know what I'm saying? Even when we was kids, he was the type of kid that could look at something and just draw it by looking at it.
Yeah.
No class, no nothing, you know what I'm saying? So he's super artistic, man, and super creative in that way. And then it's like when it comes to me, I'm just a combination of all that.
Wow.
And that's really what makes me who I am. And I know that. It's like when I told you about like how my mother is, how my father is, and how my brothers are. You put all that together, you get me. And so it's like,
Dang. Gumbo.
Gumbo, man. That's me.
So
bro.
It's like, and even with y'all had like y'all went by something. Was it Steve Boys or?
Oh yeah, well that's my brother. Yeah, man. His thing is Steve Boys, man. That's him in his rap group. Him and my other brother, Tone.
Yeah.
They met in actually high school, man, and they've been rapping, forever. They best friends to this day. But that's their rap group, Steve Boys. They got their thing popping around Detroit, man, locally, and they've been doing their thing for a while, man. They don't really rap as much anymore, but they still just do a lot for like memory and love because they've been doing it for so long, man. So it's love, man.
And then the thing, man, having that many brothers, bro, and them being older. Yeah. I ain't had no older brothers, no older cousins. So I used to get bullied a lot. You know what I'm saying? But not like in a way where I'm the victim. I mean,
right.
Shit happened and it helped me to build character in ways that made me who I am today. So I wouldn't like go back and erase none of it. But my sister, she want all the smoke. But we never went to the same school. She's
Right.
5 years older than me. So
Okay.
what would happen is that people in the neighborhood, try to fight me or jump me or whatever. My sister stand up for me. And then when I get to school, they like, oh, nigga, you got... Oh, excuse me, I shouldn't be saying that. Anyway, it's my show, though. So so they're like, oh, yeah, you got to have your sister.
Right.
You got to have your sister
Right.
help you, blah, blah, blah. And it made it worse, So I really had to kind of stand up to my giants on my own. But having brothers, how pivotal was that? Like, did you avoid a lot of stuff because your brother's like, nah?
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I didn't avoid it. I didn't avoid it because there's a big age gap, right? My oldest brother at this point is 40. I think he's 11 years older than me. He's about 46, 47. So, when I grew up, I really kind of grew up with my brother who's just older than me, which is Shantae's, because we 3 years apart. So we were actually in like elementary school together. We went to high school together. So if anything ever happened to where it was like fights or somebody tried to jump me, he was right there. You know what I'm saying? And I still had a lot of those encounters because we had tons of fight in elementary school. We fight. Even when I got to middle school, we had fights. You know what I'm saying? We didn't go to the same middle school, but there were times in middle school I had beef with people or got jumped or whatever. And it's like, he pulled up the next day like, bro, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, y'all ain't gonna do my little brother like that. And I realized when I became like a popular kid in school, it's just a lot of hate. It's Detroit. Sometimes people don't like seeing that. And so when I started dealing with that type of stuff in life, I did always have my brother there. And it's like, we so tight-knit, man. That's why I call him my twin, because it's like he'd never let anything happen to me.
Nice,
You know what I mean?
nice.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, so then you ended up going to Mumford?
Yeah, Mumford. I went to Mumford, left Longfellow, got to Mumford. And my brother was a senior at the time.
Yeah.
So when I got there, it was like, he knew a number of people, and I started making a way for myself, became kind of popular. And I played all the sports, track, basketball, football,
Man,
cross
you ran
country.
track. Yeah, I remember.
Track,
And
man.
good
Come
at
on.
all of them, too.
Come on now, man. We were
Yeah.
state champions in track. Everybody know
Dang,
about Mumford. If you from the D, you know.
Yeah, so if you made that team, you had to be.
Yeah, you had to be that guy, man. But so when I got to Mumford, man, it was just a lot of love. It was different for me because, like I said, I grew up on the east side. So majority of my friends were all from the east side, but moving to the west side, I started to build that at Longfellow. Then when I got to Mumford, it was like, I got to make this wave for myself. And it wasn't hard to do because my brother knew people, but at the same time, I just know the type of kid I was, man. I'm very open. I'm very fun. I don't show anybody hate. I show everybody love. You know what I'm saying? So
you ain't had no beefs with nobody.
Nah, I didn't have no beef when I got to high school, man. I was just, everybody seen me as the kid that played sports, that was smart. People wanted to be friends with. And you see, in Detroit, in like each grade, you can win like homecoming. So it's like in 9th, you the Lady or Lord, or 10th, you the Duke and Duchess, 11th, Prince or Princess, King or Queen, 12th. So in 10th grade, I ended up running for homecoming and I won. And I remember telling myself like, oh shit, I mean, people might actually like me. You know what I'm saying? People might actually be rocking with me just as who I am as a person.
So you wasn't even aware of it at that time?
Nah, not like that until I think I won. And I was like, okay, people actually rock with me as a human being.
Wow.
And as an individual. So then every time and I was in ROTC, people think ROTC is lame. But for me, it was like, I wanted to be able to change the trajectory of what people thought about that, because to me, it wasn't lame. I got forced into it because the school was overpopulated.
Yeah.
But when I took it, my brothers and all of them was clowning me my freshman year, like, you about to be wearing the shiny shoes and the green suit. Yeah. But then by the time I became a senior, I actually used that to pitch myself to become class president, which I ultimately ended up winning. So my senior year, I ended up winning like class president. I was class popular. I was prom king.
Yeah.
I did everything. Class athletic. Me and my homeboys won class buddies. Like, I really lived a high school life of what you see of somebody in the movies, man. It's no different. If you look at the high school jock, it's like, that's who I was, but I was also in the National Honor Society. I carried a 3.8 GPA. You get what I'm saying? So it wasn't just the standard, I'm just this stupid kid who's trying to be popular. It was more about inspiring the people around me to show that you can do whatever you want to and never let anybody limit your success. Damn. And that was kind of my attitude towards life, even when I was in high school.
Well put, man. I mean,
man.
And that actually helps you now that you pretty much famous, because you is. And we going to get into that. But it's a lot of people that get that fame, actors and stuff, and you can tell like, oh, this dude wasn't popular in high school, or he wasn't a man, because they get it and they don't know what to do with it. It's too much too quick. But for you, it ain't nothing to you, so you ain't gonna let the attention and all of that stuff kind of throw you off your square too much, because you've always been that guy at every level of life.
It's like just being able to, I always tell people, man, just show up as yourself. Stop trying to be somebody you're not. I used to look at that even in college. Like when I went to school, people would pledge fraternities, and it's like, you was lame before you went in that fraternity. I'm just keeping it a buck, bro. Like, you was lame. Yeah. And then now you got these letters across your chest, and now you feel like you can walk around the yard.
You can tell too,
it's like you still lame, bro. You still the same person just because you got this. So for me, it's like, you know what I'm saying? You got to be able to show up as yourself for real, man. You know what I'm saying? Like when people realize you really are who you say you are, it comes across a different way. And I don't think people that have encountered me in my life have ever been able to walk away from me or meeting me and it's like, oh, this brother ain't genuine, man.
No.
That dude ain't real, man. That dude fake. It's like, nah, I show real love. I show real compassion for people, man. I really believe that, you know what I'm saying, changing your life and thinking in your mindset, being in a positive attitude can always be the best of you. If you keep yourself in a positive attitude, bro, you can always be the best of you.
Where did that sense of self and confidence and security come from? I mean, your mom and dad.
Yeah, it definitely came from them because when I look at my family, they never shied away from being themselves. My family ain't fake. You know what I'm saying? Like my brothers, they crack jokes. My cousins, my father, he is the most outlandish guy. You know what I'm saying? Like even on my last birthday, my pops called me and I'm talking to him. And he was like, man, you turning 35. When I turned 35, he said, you turning 35. That's crazy. My youngest son, 35. He said, man, I've been fucking for a long time. I said,
like, that's what you called me with?
Like, that's what you called me. He like, but anyway, happy birthday, man. I'm like, bro, like, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, but that's who my family is. That's like the true definition of the type of family that I have, man. So that was instilled in me. And so who I've been all my life is somebody that's just been real and genuine, bro. I ain't got to be fake for nobody, bro. Like, I ain't trying to put on no show for nobody. If I can't be me, I can't do it. Because I always tell people it ain't on you, it's in you. That's really the reality of life.
You better drop these bars, man.
I tell them that every day, bro. It ain't on you, it's in you, bro. People can recognize that very easy, dog. They can. So for me, I just believe in putting that out always, bro.
So when did you develop an interest in the arts? When did you know you wanted to be an actor?
All my life.
Wait,
that never,
all your life?
When I was a kid, my people will tell you, man, when I was a kid, I used to literally run in the living room and my parents, my cousins, they would act like your mama, act like your daddy. And I would do it and they would die laughing, bust out my whole family. And for me, it was like, I remember thinking as a kid, like, bro, I could do this for the rest of my life. That's easy. It feels so natural and genuine to me. I knew at that moment I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. So I continued to just be that person in my family that continued to just play around and have fun with the arts. But then when I got to high school, obviously I went to Mumford. I didn't go to like DSA where it was like performing arts high school. So I had to figure it out, and not knowing that you can actually take theater classes at Mumford, but you can only take them when you were a junior or a senior. You couldn't take them as a freshman or a sophomore. So when I found that out, I made sure that I took the theater classes, and it was based on improv. So I really picked up a lot of my natural character from just improv and having fun and developing things I learned all my life. People don't even know in high school, man, I made a movie. That was like my senior project as an actor. I made a movie called The Day in the Life of a High School Athlete, where I made a documentary and I filmed all of my friends, including me and my family, talking about how hard it is for young black African-American men to make it growing up in poverty and growing up in a high school where you have all these things in front of you, but you still have to be able to handle it all on top of the fact that you still got family and friends and keep your grades up, and so many things can be distracting around you. So I based it on that. The soundtrack was 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. I remember we put the whole joint together and I shot the movie, man, and it was incredible. And a lot of people don't even know that. You know what I'm saying? So I've been doing this thing really all my life, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that prepared you for college because you actually got your degree
in theater. Yeah, when I went to school, but I actually went to college on a track scholarship. So when I went to Alabama State, I ran track. That's what got me in, because I was a track runner. Obviously, that was the big thing.
So you ain't had no loans that you had to pay back on?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, because I started taking out some, you know what I'm saying?
But initially, you went
I went on up, and I remember running track, and I was a theater, and I worked my butt off in the theater, man. Even when I got there, we had to audition for the theater, and I didn't realize that when you audition for our theater, you got to do like a minute song, a minute dance, a minute monologue, and I did these things all improv because that's what I came from. I ended up booking the first show of the year of the theater, and nobody knew me. So a lot of guys in the theater kind of hated me right away. Like, who is this new freshman kid? Think he's something from Detroit. But it really just kind of gave me an armor.
You know, not only that, you carved your own lane.
I carved my own lane right away. So it was like after 2 years of doing that and running track, I remember I had a show that I wanted to do, and I had a track meet the same weekend, and my coach came to me, and I was like, man, I really want to do this show. I don't want to run. Like, I want to perform. And he was like, well, who paying for your school? I'm like, touche. You know what I'm saying? I get it.
Yeah.
But I remember in that moment, I literally told myself, man, I was like, I'm done with track. I got to hang it up. And every year we have our exit interviews for track and theater, whatever. So I went and had my exit interview for track, and I told them, I'm like, I'm not running no more. They was like, well, you know, you're going to lose money. Blah. I'm like, I'm just not running, bro. I'm good on that. They was like, all right. So 2 days later, I had my exit interview for theater, and I went, and I remember I called my mom after I quit track, and she was like, boy, what is you doing? Like, we got to take out these loans now. I'm like, Mom, but I don't want to do that. Like, she was like, well, I trust you. I know you smart, so let's follow your dream.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, we just going to put the trust in God and let's make it happen. She was like, all right, let's trust God. The next 2 days later, I went to the theater. We had our exit interview for the theater. So I told them, I'm like, yo, I quit track, man. I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to put all my focus here. They was like, well, that's good, because we was getting ready to offer you a full ride today. And I was like, Didn't even know that was about to happen, bro. So I literally end up quitting track, trusted in God. 2 days later, end up getting a full ride for theater, and that's how I actually finished.
So off of track, that was just a partial.
That was just a part. Yeah, that wasn't even a thing. So when I actually, yeah, man, and then theater kind of took me the rest of my way through college, and they paid for the rest of my school because of the work that I put in. I knew that's what I was supposed to be doing with my life.
You know how many people I talk to, and when they present that to their parents or their mom, the mom like, because they can't understand why you would want to switch from this to that or stop doing this, whatever the case. So shout out to your mom for believing in you, bro, and pushing you. Because even if they don't agree with you, it's important to let your kids experience things for themselves. And if they fall, but they learn. They get back up. You know what I'm saying?
That's the one thing. It's almost like you can see your son. It's like how parents are sometimes. You might see your son in the living room playing with a whole bunch of beakers, and you like, put that down, don't touch that. That's not good. You don't even know that kid might want to be a scientist, man. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta, egoless parenting is a real thing, and people have to get it. You know what I'm saying? Understand that. Like, you can't put your ego into parenting because your kid. You have to allow your kid to be who they were. My parents allowed me to be who I was. That's why they always say, whatever this kid does, we never told him to do it. He just does it because he wants to, and we allowed him to, and allowed him to be who he was. And now this is who I am today. So,
bro, that happens all the time too, man, with parents, because what they do is they grow up and the world is a certain way.
Exactly.
And then they project their world onto their child's world. And it's like, man, 20, 30 years from now when I'm an adult, it might look totally different from the world that you was a young adult in. So you kind of have to give them that room to see things
nothing the same,
through their own lens. Yeah.
Ain't nothing the same. We think about every generation we change, right? The 60s wasn't the 70s, the 70s wasn't the 80s, the 80s wasn't the 90s. Changed drastically. Every 10 years, you in a new decade, you in a whole new generation of everything, like hairstyles, clothes, the way that people talk, you know. So you have to understand every 10 years, that's the same thing that happens with our lives, bro. We are changing. I do that even for my birthdays. Your 20s ain't gonna be your 30s, your 30s ain't gonna be your 40s. It's like, we have to understand that with times change, we have to change, and we have to be able to adapt. And we can't go by those same rules that we always went to, just like our parents. We can't follow those. We ain't gonna grow up like our parents.
Well, I know a lot of people though who do that, right? Who succumb to that, and then when they get out here in the world, they don't trust people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But in your business, you got to be able to sort of trust people courageously, not in a naive fashion from all walks of life. Yeah. Because that person might have the keys to your next opportunity and so on and so forth. And I noticed that about you. You have friends from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life or whatever. So that's dope, man.
Yeah, man. It's been beautiful.
Dang. So you killing it, carving out your own lane in college, doing the improv. And that's hard to do because, you know, you can't hide behind nobody else's words. You really got to be yourself.
You really got to.
You know what I'm saying? And really to have that confidence to do that, obviously those folks there was like, where this dude come from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like what's happening? Like I don't get it, because even when I thought about it, man, when we got up there, I remember watching that in college. We go in these groups of 10 and people were getting up there doing all these performances, and I'm like, bro, I ain't got nothing to do. And so in my mind, I'm like, what am I gonna do to show these people that I'm talented? And so when I get on stage, Tania Stewart, who was the professor at the time, and she was like, give us your, do your monologue, man. And in my mind, I'm like, I ain't got no monologue prep, but I did have a long sleeve shirt on. So I took the shirt and I put my arms inside and I tied it up on the outside to make it look like a straitjacket. I just kind of turned the shirt around and I do impressions. So I was like, I'm gonna just act like I'm crazy and I'm in this land with a whole bunch of cartoon characters and I'm talking to them. So I just started rocking back and forth on stage and I'm like, it's me, Elmo. I'm doing all this type of stuff, bro. And they dying laughing. So I'm like, yeah, I'm winning. Wow. So then the next thing she was like, all right, man, I do your dance. And I ain't never danced in front of nobody in my life outside the ballroom, because that's what we do.
Bro, but you can dance though.
Yeah, that's the thing. So when we did that, I had a Trapped in the Closet R. Kelly CD in my bag.
That don't mean you still listen to it, y'all.
I don't listen to it. But that's what I had at the time in my bag. So I put that CD in and I just started ticking the whole song. I'm like, miming. And she was like, oh my God, do part 2. I'm like, bro, I barely made through that. So then she like, well, do your song, man. Do your song. And I'm like, bro, I can't sing worth a lick. But I'm like, I know I can beatbox. Everything at that moment in my life was just about being.
Wait, you couldn't rap at that time?
I could rap, but she wanted us to sing because this is theater. So what they asking for is a song. They don't want to see you get up here and rap. And my mind wasn't thinking like, oh, I should rap because I know I can rap. I was thinking like, oh, they want me to sing, but I can't sing. Yeah. So I did.
Excuse me, y'all. Jerrel is a dope rapper too. On top of being an actor. So I just wanted to mention that. We're going to get to his music, but keep going. Yeah.
So it was like, I can't sing. So I'm like, all right, man, I know I can beatbox. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me just throw some beatboxing in with a little music and see what works. So then I got up there and I was like, rain on the mistletoe. And everybody was rocking in the audience. I'm like,
off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, bro. I did all that off the top of my head. Then I ended up booking the first show of the year, starting out in the theater and nobody knew who I was. And that's kind of how I started making a way for myself.
Bro, it should be a crime to have that much creativity. That's crazy. Wow.
We had a ball, man. It was fun, man.
So you didn't go right to LA after college, right? You ended up.
No, I'm in Sacramento.
Sacramento, I remember that. Yeah, right. And you did some theater out there.
I did. So what happened is you do these competitions when you graduate from college. SCTC, ERTA, KCACTF. I did all these things. But you audition in front of like 300 companies, all professional or graduate programs. You get a minute to do a monologue. And after you do that monologue, they give you callbacks to come back to see if they want to accept you to their program or they want, they actual program or they university to be able to get your like masters or whatever. And for me, it was like, usually people at my school was getting about like 15, 16 callbacks. I ended up getting almost 30 of them. God. So when I realized that, I was like, man, I got something. And I know I got something. It was God always telling me that. And so in my mind, I said, all I know is this: out of everybody I'm going to go visit, I know I want to be in California because I believe I'm ready for the world. And out of all the offers I got, I think ultimately it was about 27. I only had one offer in California. Every other offer was somewhere else. That was the
closest to where you wanted to be.
And it was the closest where I want to be, but it was in Sacramento with a theater company called B Street Theater. It wasn't school. It was a professional acting company started by Timothy Busfield, and Michael J. Fox. Golly. And so, and also they don't hire black actors.
You was like one of the first.
Man, what? So it was like they have black actors on their roster and team, don't get me wrong, but they just didn't have a lot of work for black actors. So when I went and met with Buck Busfield, is who I met with, and he was like, I want you to do that monologue you did. I want you to do it right here over my shoulder. And I did it looking over his shoulder. The crazy thing is I had a cast on my arm because I ended up dislocating my shoulder from a show I did. So I took the cast off and I did it. And after that, he was like, man, that was one of the most incredible auditions I've ever seen. He said, I'm going to tell you the truth. We don't have a lot of work for black actors, but I'll create whatever we can for you.
Wow.
Because you really are that good if you sign with us. Yeah. And I decided to sign with him. So it was an internship and I worked with him professionally for a year, doing stage and doing film and doing things like that.
That's so dope. I mean, so many people use so many excuses to hold them back, but it's like, no, the way that you overcome every obstacle and every barrier is by being damn good at what you do.
Straight up, man.
Make yourself so undeniable that there's no way they can tell you no.
Flat out.
And they'll create opportunities.
Because they'll create the opportunity. I've always been my biggest fan. I've always believed in myself and had undeniable faith in what I do because I truly believe you can manifest your life. If you truly see something happening for you in your mind, you can feel it, you can taste it, you can breathe it, those things that people always talk about, it really is real, man. But people don't understand that the journey and whatever you may take is very hard in a way where you have to, there's going to be a lot of days where it seems like it ain't going to happen for you. A lot of days where it seems like it ain't going to go your way. But what I realized a long time ago is that no doesn't mean never, it just means not now. And if we continue to live life in a way where I realize that this no that somebody's telling me don't mean it ain't gonna ever happen. It just means it's not for me right now. And if it ain't for me right now, I know when it is for me, it's gonna happen in a major way.
So when did you make your way over to LA?
After that year, I finished with them. I saved up enough money and I moved with a couple of my partners in LA until I could find an establishment. I ended up not having a place for a while, a little homeless. You know the struggle, bro. It don't happen like that. But my undeniable faith. I remember talking to my mom when I lost my place.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask. Like, what were some of the toughest times, the most uncomfortable moments? But go ahead.
After those first couple months, man, it was like I remember calling my mom and I didn't have anywhere to stay. I was like sleeping in the car and I told my mom, I said, she was like, well, what you gonna do, man? Because,
she wants you to come back.
I want you to come home. And I was on the phone. I remember I was crying, man. I said, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'm not coming home. I'm not giving up on my dream because I know what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. And I said, I'd rather die out here on the street before I give up on my dream. That's facts. That's how I looked at my life at that point. So when I think about where my life is today, that's what I mean about having undeniable faith, man. When you know God has something in store for you and you know he's giving you that gift and you use it for the right reasons, only then he'll allow you to receive everything that's supposed to come from it. And that's the way that I've always approached my life. I just use my gift for the right reasons. I never try to get over anybody, whether it's relationships, whether it's my job, whether it's nothing, because people always be like, you're an actor, so you could be lying. It's like, I ain't got to lie, man. I show up as myself every day. Me being an actor, that's how I get to step away. You know what I'm saying? And be living, because, we like psychologists without the degree. We get to step into all these different avenues of life and all these different characters. But who I am as a person is who I am as a person. And sometimes it's like I always want to make sure that people get the real me, because I don't ever want people to get around me and feel like, oh, you being fake or phony because you're an actor, or you could be playing me because you're not real, right? And so that struggle was real, man, because I just knew I was never going to give up on my dream. And then eventually things started to turn over where I found a place with one of my homeboys who ended up moving in, saved a little money, got a job. We ended up getting this crib together. And then I started booking stage plays. And then from that point is kind of how it started in LA. My first role in LA was a stage play from a lady named Angela Batcherville. It was called Testimonies from the Valley. And I played.
Was that before or after I met you?
This was before. This was like the first thing I did. I played a 29-year-old youth pastor. Actually, it was based on a true story. And she had a problem casting this role because it was her friend's real life story. And we was putting on this play in front of everybody. And she was like, I don't want to just cast anybody. I want to cast somebody who's really going to bring it. She gave me a monologue. I walked in, I did the monologue, and she stared at me for about 2 minutes afterwards. So I started to walk out the door. This is my first audition to LA. I'm like, maybe I was probably trash. But in my mind, I'm like, I know I ain't trash. So like, but as I started to walk to the door, she's like, no, I'm sorry, but that was just the most incredible audition I've ever seen in my life.
Second time hearing, once in Sacramento, then you hear this guy giving you all these signs along the way.
She was like, do you want to do the show? I'm like, yeah. She's like, can you start tonight? We have rehearsal tonight. I'm like, bet. Started doing a rehearsal, did that show. Then from that show, somebody seen me in that show and was like, bro, you incredible. I want to cast you in this show. After that, I did about 10 shows where I played all the lead roles from people coming to see me doing stage. And so I know in LA, people talk about how you get your start. It's like, I really started with stage. And I know that sounds foreign almost to be in LA to be like stage work, but that's how I started. I would book a show. People would come see that show. I'm playing the lead role and they like, bro, I got to cast you in this. You dope. I got to cast you in this. And now that started to pick up for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
So then we ended up meeting each other. I don't know. I know it was, I was with Kier.
Yeah.
If somebody was having like a little shindig at their place.
Yeah.
I know Richard Relaford, he might have been there too.
Yeah, Rich, yep.
And we playing cards, man, and I knew you was different from because people from Detroit, you can just kind of recognize.
You feel the energy, man. It's different, bro.
The lingo, the way they talk, the way they carry themselves. And I found out you was from Detroit, and I'm like, man, I'm looking for somebody to play a role in this project I'm developing. And I'm like, man, can you act? Because here's the thing. In my mind, I'm like, if he's from Detroit, I don't know whether or not he really, we don't necessarily. I mean, don't get me wrong. We got some greats like what's the dude name? I think Courtney B. Vance. He's from Detroit.
Yes.
So we got some heavy hitters.
Man.
But I was still a little skeptical because I'm like, he from Detroit. Is he really good or whatever? I don't know, right? But I'm like, fuck it. I called you. I ended up getting your contact. We met at Togo's near your house.
Yep.
I remember just having a conversation with you. Still don't know if you can act. Didn't have you read anything, but I just felt, I'm like, if he can just be who he is right here on camera, he gonna be better than everybody on set.
Yeah.
Because your personality was so infectious. It was so it's like every guy wants to be like you. Every woman wants to be with you. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like you got all of these things that make people just like feel good being around you or whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, if he can just translate that to camera when I cut on the camera and say action, then he gonna be cold. But again, that's hard to do. A lot of people can't beat themselves. So I'm like, can he do it under pressure? Man, I remember the first day, man, we get to film. And mind you, I don't know. And I'm like, even if he ain't good, he still look like Lorenz Tate. The ladies gonna love it. So I'm still gonna win. And you killed it, bro. I'm talking about, I'm like, man, and then I knew you was really good, really, really good when you had that scene with Harry Lennox.
Yes.
And Harry Lennox is a monster.
Beast.
He hadn't looked at the script. I mean, because he was busy. He was shooting other stuff. He came on set. He looked at the paragraphs. He was like, blah, 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 blah.
Literally was like, all right,
said action, knew it, right? But what I noticed how good you were is that you was right there with him. Because that scene it was very tense. It was, you was with Jade, you was with his daughter, y'all were living together, shacking up, and you were meeting her father for the first time. Who wasn't cool with y'all shacking up. And there was so many subtleties and nuances in there that you just was, you was going toe to toe with him, and you were using so many nonverbals to communicate. And I said, he's not just good in terms of being able to act with the words, but he's doing all of the stuff that ain't on paper. And he ain't nothing but like 26, 27 years old at this time. So that's how I knew, like, oh, yo, this dude ain't no joke. And then I'm letting people see stuff before I release it. All of my female friends who and they like, oh my God, I love him. And I'm like, this dude he gonna blow up. So anyway, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of that. That was the marriage tour. That was my baby. We did 3 seasons of that, man. And it was just, you and Jay played the young couple in there, and y'all killed it, man. So thank you, bro, for that.
Man, I appreciate that. Thank you too for the opportunity. It was dope because that was also my first time really working with a brother from Detroit. It felt so much at home, and that was something that actually did open me up when it was like, when it's time to film, I'm like, bro, you was like my brother. Like even when I met you and talking to you, bro, it was like, this is like my family, bro. It automatically felt like that.
We used to be chilling on set.
You know what I'm saying? So when we got to shooting that, man, the marriage tour was so fun, bro. I had such an incredible time. Even working with Harry, man, that was dope because I know a lot of people was looking forward to that scene. And when I get to work with people who are like legends in the game like that, man, for me it's always this attitude of like, I hope you're ready to get this work. Like that's my attitude when I go into it. I never go into it like, oh man, I'm getting ready to work with this person or it's Harry Dancer. So I'm just like, nah, bro, like God is gifting me with something special. And I know when I get on that set and you yell action, it's almost like, I don't know if you've seen Biker Boys. Y'all know you probably seen Biker Boys, but it was this scene where Lawrence Fishburne, when he's sitting on that bike at the end, he's getting ready to race his son.
With Derek Luke.
Yeah, Derek Luke, and he put his helmet on and he goes into this tunnel vision where it's just like zoom. And for me, every time I hear somebody say action, that's what happens. It's almost like I'm just in a completely different world. So anytime we would be on set, and soon, even when I worked with Harry, he was like action, it was like zoom.
Yeah.
And I'm out of it, bro. And I'm somewhere else that's just nuances, character, the thoughts, the intentions, everything is, I'm so on point because I'm living in that world.
Bro, that's not easy though, man, because listen, like, you know how them, man, there's some weird people in LA. So,
yeah, it is, bro.
So even when the camera off, they still in character, so to speak.
Yeah.
But not you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the crazy thing. I saw you do something, man. It was a Randy Rans project. Shout out to Randy Rans too.
Yeah.
And you were working opposite of Danny D. Lloyd, who's a phenomenal actor.
He did Unchosen Path with Randy Rans,
Bro. And Keisha was at Keisha apartment. Shout out to Keisha E.
My girl, yeah.
So anyway, bro, before they said action, you know, me and you just, you like, yeah, man, like, what's up, Dave? Yeah, man, you crazy, man, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as they said action, bro, you had to pull out the gun. I think you pointed it at Danny D. Lloyd in the scene,
my pops,
bro, and the intensity, and you cried at the drop of a dime, and not one of them. You know, a lot of actors, they do the cry where they trying to force it to happen.
Yeah,
your cry was like, no, I'm trying to hold these tears back from coming out because I'm really feeling this emotion right now. Man. And I saw you just switch and flip that switch on and off, and I'm like, how the hell did he do? He didn't have to. You didn't have to warm up. Before they said, you ain't had to, as soon as they said action, you just snapped into that tunnel vision, like you said Lawrence Fishburne did on that movie. Crazy, bro.
It's one of those things, man, where I always tell people acting is just one of the most beautiful forms of art that you can ever experience, man. Because like I say, we get to dive into so many different attitudes of life. As far as, like I say, it's like a psychologist without the degree. I don't care.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Because it really is, man, really like psychologists without the degree. Why? Because you have to take yourself to places that you never would. You know, as far as the way that you think, the things that you go through, the person you will be. I remember listening to this actor, and it was like an actor, and I wish I could quote the name, but it was like, this is the thing. You cannot be the judge nor jury. You can only be the lawyer because you have to defend your character. And that's a fact. Whether I'm playing somebody good, whether I'm playing somebody bad, whatever it is, antagonist, person, I have to defend my character no matter what. And you got to be willing to go there. And I always tell actors, learn to compartmentalize. That is a big thing that actors don't do, because when you tap in, you got to learn to be able to tap out. Yeah. Like you said, some people can't tap out. We look at the Heath Ledgers or people that's been in the game that's really went there. And he played the Joker, incredible role.
Yeah.
But look at the result, right? So we have to be able to come back to ourselves and still understand who we are, because that little bit inside of us is what's going to help us heal, be able to overcome and come back to understanding, okay, I'm Jerrel. This is who I am. You know what I'm saying? But being able to tap in as an actor, man, it's like you really got to take yourself there, because my overall definition to it is like, I only do it to tell the truth. Nothing else. I've learned Stanislavski, I've learned Meisner, method acting. I've been through every part of the shit. Like, my thing about it is like, I'm an actor's actor, bro. I don't. It ain't that, and people got to understand that. So in my college, they taught
Shakespeare.
Us, I do Shakespeare. That's what I won an award off of, doing Shakespeare. You know what I'm saying?
Now.
So
come on now.
This is the thing, like, you have to be able to tell the truth. And in our college, they taught us, I always give shout out to Brian Martin, who was my acting coach, one of the best acting coaches.
Shout out to Brian Martin.
Yes, man, in the world, man. This brother's so good. But he taught me that. He taught me to understand it's the thing about being, telling the truth, just becoming a character. Mm-hmm. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to do anything outside the box. Just sit here and simply tell us the truth. Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you? Who are you as an actor? What are you trying to tell us? What are your nuances, your intentions? How are you thinking? What is your mindset? I mean, it's smart. People don't understand. I always tell people, the best comment I can get from anybody is, bro, I'm around you every single day, but when I see you get on screen, bro, I can't even tell that's you. You a totally different person. Or I see you on stage, you a totally different person, bro. And I'm around you every day.
And that's how you know you're fully immersed in that experience.
Fully invested, bro.
Yeah. And what you said about being a psychologist, too, it gives you a sense of empathy for people that you otherwise would never understand.
Would never understand.
You know, like,
you're looking at life.
If you got to play a rapist, you might have to play somebody who done shot up a school or whatever the case may be. And it's not that you'll ever condone those actions, but at least you have to take yourself to a point where you understand how a person can get there.
Yeah.
So it grants you that empathy, because otherwise you would just be totally intolerant of these people, which ain't a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to condone it, but you still want to be able to understand how a person can get there.
Yeah.
So you make sure that you do what's necessary for you to never go there, or people that you know.
The people that you know.
Exactly.
Sometimes, because you got to think about sometimes how TV shows could be so good, or a movie could be so good that you end up hating that person in real life. And that ain't even who it really is.
Yeah,
They just played a role.
Yeah.
It's almost like some of these shows I watch, they be like, even you watch Power, they hate Tariq. Like, what? That's not really who that kid is. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's doing a good job.
But that just means he's doing a hell of a job. And if you can take somebody to the point to make them truly believe you are who they see in front of you, even though that's not actually you, then that just lets you know, man, God has got something on you that's just incredible. And it ain't easy, because this is what did Viola say? We got 0.4% of people that make it in this business.
Ooh.
We have the highest unemployment rate out of anybody.
Yeah.
You have to think that a happy actor would be happy to make $50,000 a year just off acting. You know what I'm saying? That's just, and there's people that's barely doing that. There are a lot of actors out here who are struggling, who are trying to figure out, who are trying to make this next wave, or trying to get yourself seen. And it's very hard to do, because you talking about people that enter this game that's trying to be A-list.
So you saying it's like a low criteria for entry, pretty much. So you have people just like flooding, you know what I'm saying? They coming in all walks of life. I got you. So it's harder for people out there, the gatekeepers, to find those. Because it's
it's even harder, because social media has become a big thing, right? You got a lot of people who are on social media who are influencers, who got a
presence, but don't have no acting chops whatsoever.
You could sit up here and make. Leah said this. Leah Daniels Butler said it, and I remember she said it. But I used to always say it myself. I'm like, you could sit up here and make a minute skit that's funny. But can you act?
Yeah.
Can you hold a movie?
Yeah.
Can you hold a TV show? Can somebody follow you and be that engaged with your character and what you're doing, to be like, bro, this brother is cold, or this sister is cold? And it's like everybody ain't doing that. And so it makes it hard, because sometimes you'll get an opportunity and then you're actually the better actor, but the person who's they might want has a ton more followers than you, but they're gonna pick that person because he got more followers.
And they might hit their bottom line, because that's what a lot of these studios and producers care about. But who's gonna remember this 20 years from now?
Who's gonna remember this 20 years from now? And so it makes it
you sacrifice quality.
So you sacrifice quality, because I understand at this point I can have millions of followers on Instagram. I know, man, so many of my celebrity friends and people I hang around with, it's crazy because of what I'm doing in my life. But I don't choose to do that, because I always want to show up authentic.
Yeah.
It's like I said, I'm the same person I was before social media, any of that. I'm always gonna show up as me.
But it's a lot of people that make it, and they made it as whatever facade they had to put on to get there. So then by the time they get there and they got this facade on, there's pressure to have to be that all the time.
Now you gotta
but
be
not
that
you.
all the time.
If I take this race, slow and steady wins the race, right?
Straight up, bro.
And by the time I get there, it ain't gonna be no different.
Because I believe about people being around me, seeing me, and being, enthralled in my work. I would say it's an experience, and that's what I want to give people. I want to give people the experience. I don't want people to just be
gimmicks.
Able to, just give it away like you tap and you can see all my stuff. No, bro, it's an experience when you get to watch me.
I just loved, and that's the thing about actors back in the day. Like even Eddie Murphy and they were mysterious to a degree.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just, obviously social media wasn't a thing now, but even now, it ain't like you can find Eddie Murphy somewhere on Instagram, because it's like, no, you will see me when my project come out.
Because it's an experience.
And you're going to be looking forward to seeing me versus me giving you everything on social media today.
Right. Me and him share the same birthday too, which is even wild.
I'm glad I said
respect to Eddie, man. That's my dog. Just because he's an artist that I do look up to as far as the work he's done, the thing that he creates, who he is, as talented as he is, man. And I love people like that, but it's hard, bro. It's hard in this game, man.
Man, like you're exceptionally good as a rapper too.
Yeah.
Like the delivery, like he really rap.
Yeah.
The lyrics, the swag, the stage presence. I done seen live performances.
Yeah.
Where he packed the joint.
Yeah.
Like he really, really good at it. But that's not your first love. I'm assuming acting is, right? So are you always gonna still make music too?
Of course. I feel like making music is just another release of an art form that is able to allow me to express myself in other ways that I can in acting, because that's what music is, right? And growing up in Detroit, it's Motown, bro.
And your brother was doing music too.
My brother did music too. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like my uncle, who his name is Jerrel O'Neal. He's a jazz musician, famous Hall of Fame jazz musician, man. He, so it wasn't like music wasn't in my family. It wasn't like I didn't grow up around it. But the rap thing really came because as watching my brother do it and getting a little bit older, it was just something I naturally had a talent for. I was always good with words. I always had a way with words. I always had a way with metaphors. I was always a smart kid, so I always thought outside of the box. And as an actor, I think that just adds the energy to me being an artist and performing as a rapper, because it's like, bro, I can take that and just put it into my acting when I'm on stage and when I'm performing, because like I told you, I go into that zone, it's over, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now I'm just doing it with rapping, but it's dope, bro. I love being able to express myself in that way.
Yeah, and being able to express yourself through different artistic forms or in different artistic forms, it helps because, you know, once you're doing the rapping thing and you spend a little time away from the acting, now you like, oh man, I can't wait to get back to this. You know what I'm saying? You can use both of them as therapy, so to speak. It don't necessarily have to get bogged down or I guess just bored with one, so to speak. It allows, I mean, it's always good for an artist to have multiple ways to express themselves. And even Harry Lennox, you know, I only thought he acted, but then, you know, I went to his house one day, man, he was killing that piano.
Man, it's crazy. Like, you see how talented artists really are. You just like, bro, what's happening? So for me, it has been that, and really, I was so,
they feed into each other.
They feed into each other. It was like even when I got out to LA, I was so heavy on acting, but really got me back into rapping is meeting my best friend right now. His name is Rue. Goes by Anointed Rue, but one of the most talented brothers I ever met in my life when it comes to rapping. Man, I really believe this brother is gonna be the next everything. And when I first heard his music, it inspired me to be like, I gotta keep going, bro.
I gotta
keep going because I know I got talent, but this brother himself, like, bro, he's such an incredible artist. And like I say, we've been rocking ever since the day we met, but it's just like, that was something I believe that drove me to say, you know what, nah, let me make sure that I keep doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because I know this is also something that's going to pay off down the road.
What's his name?
Rue. His name is Rue.
Shout out to Rue. That's why it's so good to, or it's great to have your circle, a circle of people who inspire you. You know what I'm saying?
You got to have people around you like that, because if you don't, you kind of get through into this realm of everything is on me. And I gotta take care of everything, and I gotta be the one.
If you're the most talented person in your circle, it's time for you to find a new circle.
But it's like, nah, right. So it's like, for me, I have some of the most talented individuals around me, like Rue, like my cousin Shaka, who's a New York Times bestselling author and writer.
Oh yeah, because you done plays for him and stuff too.
Me and Shaka done did so much work, and I'm pretty much the whole city.
He was on Oprah Winfrey too.
Yeah, him and Oprah. He didn't produce shows with Oprah. He also is over a tech company right now. This
how has working with and that's your cousin. Right?
Yeah,
he was in prison for years.
20 years.
As soon as he got out,
he got out when I graduated college.
When you graduated college, okay. And not he wrote books, this, that, and
yeah, man. He pretty much graduated. I graduated college, and he got out a couple of weeks after I graduated, after doing a 20-year bid. And we seen each other for the first time in a long time. And I was like, cuz, I'm about to move to LA. I got this acting stuff going. And he was like, man, I'm a writer. I write these books. I got this going. I was like, we gonna do something together. He like, yeah, we doing something together.
Full circle.
And it came full circle to see where he is now by being in New York. He wrote his book, which is Righting My Wrongs, his memoirs. Became a New York Times bestselling author. Started traveling all over the world. He worked with the Obama Foundation, became a professor at the University of Michigan. He's pretty much the leading voice in the world today behind prison reform. So he worked for ARC. Man, this brother did so much stuff in the industry. It's just crazy how he leads and he puts out for prison reform and the things that he's done, even now owning a tech company, working in Silicon Valley, teaching people things at MIT Media Lab. Man, I mean, the list goes on and on, but he just came off of Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? So getting ready to IPO a company. So a brother
many
who's
talents,
man, who's been through what he's been through, man. It's incredible to see that, you know, you should be able to atone for your mistakes, man, and have a second chance at life, because you never know what you're capable of.
But it's beautiful that, you know, because at the time he told you, you know, y'all, you know, what he was doing and you said what you was doing, you know, it was early.
Yeah, it was very early on.
And then y'all got at each other. Y'all worked with each other at the right time.
Yeah, right at the right time.
You had enough experience under your belt. Yeah. He had a New York Times best-selling book, all of that stuff. And by the time y'all worked together, it was an explosion.
So I went home, and the first time we did something crazy, which was Righting My Wrongs, his book. We did it as a one-man show with my brother Dez Cortez. Shout out Dez Cortez too. But I played him in a one-man show. I sat on stage for an hour and 30 minutes.
Nobody but you.
Nobody but
That's
me.
a one-man show, y'all.
Nobody
show. but
and it was crazy because at that point, Shaka wasn't even writing scripts. He's dope at script right now. But before he used to write, he just sent me the pages from his book. So he really sent me like 5 chapters, single-spaced. I had like 17 pages.
And it was already in that type of format.
It was the same format from the book.
Wow.
All I did, I remembered 17 pages. And I sat on that stage for, I remember.
That ain't nothing for you though.
Nah. So after we did that, I sat on that stage and we got done and everybody just kept coming to me like, bro, that was verbatim from the book. How would you remember all of that?
Wow.
But I'm like, when you're an actor's actor, man, and this is what you live for.
It's not just remembering it. It's also that when you get in front of people, you don't lose it.
You gotta perform it too. So now I got to sit up here and remember 17 pages of single-spaced dialogue and perform it in front of all these people. And for me, That's where I live, bro. That's my world, bro. That's my God-given ability to be able to give. That's what I give back to the world. That's what inspires people. So when I get that opportunity, I'm gonna live in it, bro.
Okay, we're gonna ask a couple more questions, right? I
Yeah,
want to
man.
know about Phels High,
Oh
right?
man.
Because listen, you got Omari Hardwick starring
Yes.
in it. I think
Yes.
the gentleman that played Lil C's, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In
Mark John Jeffries,
yeah,
that's
that's
my
his
guy.
name, right?
Mark
Because he
John
was in the
Jeffries, yeah.
Notorious movie, right?
He played Notorious. Yeah, he played Young 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying joint too.
Right.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Who's the director behind it? Some of the producers' name.
I'll tell you, Kevin Nelson, man, he's out of Philly, 1804 Films, man. This brother is an incredible writer, director, but he's the one that did Phels High. Phels High is based on a true story about him and his friends that experienced something in high school. It was very traumatic that they had to help each other get through. So when you see the movie, I don't want to give too much away, but it's starring me and Omari Hardwick, which is really incredible.
Crazy.
Like I say,
You on the poster.
Yeah, yeah. So it's starring me and Omari, man.
And looking like you in high school too. I'm like,
Which
how
is
this
even,
dude still?
I shot that movie, I was 33, 34 at the time, and I played an 18-year-old high school senior. They just shaved my facial hair off them jeans. It's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we got Mark John Jeffries in it. We got Elise Neal in it, a legend. We got Michael Hyatt from Snowfall. She's on some the Mom Saint.
Yeah.
We got TJ Adams, who plays ODB on Wu-Tang right now.
Yeah.
On Hulu, which is crazy. So man, the cast is incredible. Alan Maldonado, he's on Sneakerhead. He's on stuff. So man, the cast is incredible.
How did you get that opportunity?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something, man. This is crazy. Kevin called me himself and said, "I want you to play the role."
No audition?
No audition, brother. And
What did he see you in?
he's seen me in tons of stuff, stage plays, film. 98% of the work that I've booked since I've been in LA has all come off Reputation. Even I won an NAACP award in 2018 for Best Supporting Actor from a show with Wallace DeMaurier called The Mask We Wear. And even since then, even that show I booked on my own. Majority of the work I've had, even like I Met You, we did the marriage tour. That came off of us meeting.
Yeah. That's a part of that
And
90%.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That 90% that says, bro, I just want to work with you, bro. But that's what has happened for me in my career, and that's followed me as far as my reputation. And so when it came to Phels High, Kev called me, and there was a lot of other cats in the industry who doing some things right now that they wanted to play that role. But Kev told Natasha Ward, it was her casting. He's like, no, this brother is the next everything, and he got to be the one to lead this film.
Bro.
He got to be the one to play alongside Omari. He got to be the one to do this because he that cold.
So this is what I want to say, man. For a lot of aspiring actors out there, you might be doing small projects, might be doing community theater. It don't matter. You better do it like you doing it in front of Spike Lee, because you never know who might be watching. And that's one thing about you. Even the small projects, you did it like it was your last. Just
bro.
the passion that you exuded and that you put into those projects led to you being able to get that opportunity with the gentleman from 1804. What's his name again?
Kevin Nelson.
Kevin Nelson. Shout out to Kevin Nelson.
Man.
Kevin
Out of
J.
Philly,
Nelson.
my whole Philly fam.
Them
everybody
Philly cats
in
be making a lot
Man,
of independent
Come
joints,
on,
bro.
man.
Be
We
killing
shot the
it.
movie in Philly, actually. We actually flew out there. They flew me out there for some weeks, man. And we shot the movie. But that process to shooting that movie was incredible. Me and Omari have
Y'all
became
bonded,
super
bro.
Man, what? Like, that's my brother, man.
So
Omari is my brother,
what did
man.
you learn from Omari during that process?
You know, the thing about it is that he told me a lot about this industry, just as far as giving me advice and game. But for him, it was like who I am and what I have and what I represent as an artist. He straight up just told me, he's just like, never lose that, man.
Yeah.
Because you are the next everything that we need for this industry. Being around you, he kept talking about how much I reminded him of himself when he was young, but more so than anything, he was like, I connected to you so fast because of how powerful you are in your presence as a human being and as an actor and what you bring on set. He just like, never lose that, man, because we don't have that authenticity like that throughout the industry in the way that we used to have it. Like, you know, we miss a lot of it because of social media and things.
And then
but
even if people come in with it, they somehow
lose it.
Yeah.
But it's like, even when you get on sets like that, you know, Omari's a really big name. So you got all these people on set and he got his own private dressing room. But every time we would have a break, he called me Rails, which is funny. That's my guy, man. But he's like, Rails, come to my dressing room. And we sit down, we just chop it up. We talk. Every time we get a break, Rails, come to my dressing room, bro. He just wanted to talk to me. He just wanted to be in conversation with me because he was also inspired by me as I was inspired by him. And that's my attitude when I say.
So you know a dude like you when they call, like, because people do call you real, but it ain't like you told him, hey, yo, call me real. He just started doing that.
He started doing that on his own because it's that energy, bro. You can't get away from that. And like I say, anytime I work with any other artist or any celebrity, you know, I'm one myself, so it's always definitely at this point it's this understanding that, bro, you gonna get this work too. I'm not coming in here inferior of who you are as an artist. I hope you gonna bring it too, because I'm bringing it, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm bringing every single moment.
And
I
think they respect that more.
And
you know what I'm saying? Because it makes for a better scene, makes for a better movie.
What?
Yeah.
Man, what? So when he got around that, it was like he would pull me in and just hug me sometimes, and we would just speed reading each other ear, just lines. It's like being in depth as actors, man. Like we love that type of stuff, man. Like I love that type of stuff, bro, because I'm ready to work.
Yeah, he a passionate.
Yeah, he's
too.
a very passionate
and multifaceted, multi-talented. Yeah, because he does poetry, music, all of that stuff,
man.
Yeah,
man. So really good brother to work with.
Used to play football.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, and I man, Omari, I knew he was a star when I seen Next Day Air. That was when I first saw him. I was like, who was this guy?
Who this cat? Yeah, man.
Because he just had that same presence, and I think it is important because you can't teach the intangible thing that you and him have, which is people just like y'all.
Yeah.
And you can go a long way with that. You know what I'm
man.
saying?
Yeah.
You can avoid a lot of audition rooms
Yeah.
by just being somebody that people like and can depend on.
Because it's a thing about...
Because you show up. As soon as they cut their camera on, you always showing up.
Like my homeboy Rue said it in one of his songs. He said, you never know what can happen. You got to show up. Because you never know what can happen, man. If you show up and just be yourself, because ain't nothing to happen to you. It's happening for you, right? That's life, right?
Yeah,
Nothing happens to you. It always happens for you. That's it. Everything. I'm the most positive, driven person in life. And people always talk to me like, why is your mindset like that? It's like, because even if you can't find the positive can always still be, I learned from the situation. Because that's perspective, right?
There's always a silver lining.
Always a silver lining. Even if I can't see it, I still understand, like, bro, but I've learned from it. And that's my positive that I can take away and move forward.
And the alternative is that you let it consume you.
Yeah.
And then it basically tears you apart.
And it tears you
can't
apart,
even move forward.
It's like, because everything that we go through in life is about perspective. I always tell people it's the reason why you can see somebody who loved their parents so much, and then when their parents pass and they go to their funeral, they don't even shed a tear. Because their perspective is different. They got time with their parents. They love their parents. They got to talk to their parents.
Come on, man.
I try to tell people this, man. And so anything that you're going through in life, if you start to change your perspective about it, then the outcome will start to change for you. And people just don't get that small thing in itself will give you a different result. Because everybody,
you got to have like a radical level of acceptance. I got that from my girl, Iman Milner, who was on the show. But you got to have that acceptance of knowing that, hey, my parents ain't going to be around forever. So I'm going to cherish them now. So I'm going to leave it all on the table right now.
I'm going to cherish them now.
So therefore, when that happens, I'm good.
I'm good because my perspective is now different, bro. And I got
because the people that be falling all over the casket, those are the ones that like, oh man,
exactly.
You could have done a little more.
You could have done a little more. That's why
you was letting little petty arguments keep you from visiting them.
And it really don't even matter, bro. Like I said, we can create heaven wherever we go. That's the mentality of my life. Bro, you really can. Bro.
I say that to like even my wife, and I'm like, if I don't get a call. Nobody's been diagnosed with something. Nobody passed away. I can get a call. Somebody say, "Hey, you owe this amount of money." Or man, I'll take them problems any day.
Any day.
Because one thing about it is that health, death, all of those things, you can't buy that. You can't, at some point we all gonna go. And, we saw that with Chadwick, right?
Yeah.
So it's like at the end of the day, I'll take on these small problems any day. My perspective is, like you said, it happened for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I still have breath. I'm still living. There's still time to overcome it. Yeah. So I get you on that, bro.
It really is like that for me in the way that I live my life. And that's what I always believe in putting out to the world, man. It's like I got to a place a long time ago and I really started thanking God for the bad things happening to me outside of the good. People don't thank God for the bad. They only,
for the problems.
When something good happened, the first thing they say is, "Oh my God, thank you." When something bad happened, usually they're like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Why are you saying why and not saying God, thank you? You still should be saying thank you because, like I said, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. It's
but that's the stuff that builds your character. The good times, bro. Like you don't learn nothing from the good times.
Exactly.
Like even in my relationship with my wife, it's like the good times is just, you know what? The good times are there so that when we go through bad times, it just reminds us of why we should stick
keep
together.
Us here.
Like, I remember when we were like this, or when we had this moment when we traveled here.
Yeah.
But it's the bad times that have developed us as a couple, that have strengted us over time. So like you said, thank you, God, for the problems too. Because without that, I wouldn't be who I am.
I wouldn't be growing and learning.
Character don't come from making $1 million.
Exactly.
Character come from all of the people that's gonna come after you for money and family members and relatives. And now you got these issues. And how do I overcome this and still remain and keep my character intact? Yeah. That's where the benefit comes from.
Because that's where the benefit is. The process to get to the million.
And
I tell people, I don't care about no product. All these movies I got coming out now and these things that's happening, I'm grateful for it. Even people been asking me, it's like, how do you feel about these movies dropping? And it's like, you happy? I'm like, no. Are you surprised? I'm like, no. This should happen for my life. I am my biggest fan. I'm very confident in believing in what God has bestowed upon me. So I am my biggest fan. I don't get to points like this in my life and be like, oh my God, I can't believe it's happening. You should believe it's happening because I worked my life. I've worked all my life for this moment.
But you said you were big on manifesting your dreams.
I'm big on manifesting my dream. But what I benefit from is the process. Every time I shoot a movie or I've done a show, I don't care about when the movie comes out. I don't care about when we actually do the stage play. What I cared about is the rehearsal process. Because that's where I learned.
That's where all the blood, sweat, and tears.
I grew.
Yeah.
That's where I became who I was. Everything about the process, because the product is going to be what it is. People either going to like it or they not going to like it.
Yeah.
But
so that can't necessarily define who you are. And that's why a lot of people end up being so devastated because their value is attached to what other people, it's solely attached to what other people think. Or it's solely attached to the result rather than who they become in the process.
Yes.
That's dope. Man, so you got a theatrical release for Phels High,
Phels
right?
High,
That's going to come out like theater.
June 23rd. We just dropped the deadline, man. Make sure y'all check June 23rd. Go to the theaters.
See, this brother already know what camera to look at. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man. Yeah, so what about listen, man, I just saw your other project. It just premiered. I watched it with my wife and I watched it one time without her.
You got to.
It's called 3 Ways.
Yes.
Right? And just to give a short synopsis, it's a young lady who was in a relationship with somebody who said she wasn't freaky enough. You know, she ended up meeting you at a bookstore or coffee shop or somewhere. Y'all got into a relationship and man, you was, great to her, great boyfriend and all of that. But, you had this other young joint. I ain't gonna tell the story, but anyway, y'all ended up doing some things. It's called 3 Ways, so you can imagine what happened or whatever. But it wasn't vulgar, it wasn't inappropriate. It was still done with class. You get what I'm trying to say? And the chemistry between all of the characters was brilliant, and there was no dull moments. Like it flowed perfectly. So the director did a hell of a job. Editor, whoever shot it, man, y'all killed that as a whole entire team, and it premiered on Hulu. It ain't no BS on Hulu.
On Hulu, man.
So how did that all come about? Was that a part of that 90% where somebody just said, hey, you ain't got to audition?
That's crazy. That was the first project that I ever booked through a manager. And the reason I got my manager is because my manager had called me. I got with him. It happened right before the pandemic, but he called me and he said, I know you don't know who I am, but I just want to have a conversation with you because your name has come across my office 5 times.
Wow.
And people keep calling me, asking me, are you signed to me? He said, by the 5th call, I said, who the hell is this kid? So when he called me, he was like, I have to know you. And then at that point, we started working together. He got to know a little bit about me. He's like, bro, we got to do this. And so the pandemic kind of happened. So it was a lot of shows that I was up for. But then when we got out of that, 3 Ways ended up happening, which was crazy. And that's how I booked it. That was the first project I booked.
Andrea Lewis too, right?
Yeah, so it's 3 Ways starring me and Andrea Lewis and Brittany Hall.
Brittany Hall, she killed it
Brittany
too.
S. Hall, she is a beast. So it's starring us 3. But the way that came about is that when I got the audition, I went and did it. It's so funny, man. I did the audition and they gave me a call back. And so when I went to the callback, I killed the callback with the casting director. Writer and director is Jamal Dudo. He's the one who wrote and directed the film. Shout out to Jamal Dudo, man. Cold brother. But anyway, I got the callback, and when I went to the callback, they loved me. I'm like, bet. So then about 2 weeks later, my manager hit me. He like, yo, they sent you the role for 3 Way. I'm like, bet. And he was like, yeah, you're gonna shoot for 1 day. But I said, hold on. I'm like, what you mean I'm shooting for 1 day? I auditioned for the lead role. I should be shooting every day. Like, someone right about that. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean? Yeah.
He was like, no, well, they sent me the shit. They said they're going to shoot in 1 day, so let me send it over to you. So what I see happen was they end up casting somebody, and I don't want to give out nobody's name, but they end up casting somebody in the industry who has a name in the role that I auditioned for. And I was like, oh, man, like, that's how they did me? Like, just because dog got a name? I'm like, all right. So my manager was like, do you want to take the role? And I'm like, let me sit on it for a day. So I sat and thought, and I was like, nah, man, fuck this. I was like, in my mind, I'm gonna be real with it. I'm telling y'all a real process. I'm like, because I worked too hard in my life and I've done too much in my life to be up for a lead role for a dope film and get all these callbacks for the lead role, and then they offer me a small part. I'm like, that's just shitting on my artistry. And in my mind, I was like, So then, but I sat and I thought for a minute and I prayed about it. And after I prayed about it, I came to the realization that I'm somebody who does a lot of talks and panels about being self-aware and about understanding that sometimes God will give you a gift just to see if you're going to be appreciative of the blessing. He may not give it to you in the way that you want it, but he's only going to give it to you just to see if you're going to be appreciative of the blessing. And I had to take my own advice at that moment. And I said, you know what? let me be appreciative of this blessing that I'm getting.
Be grateful and
let
humble.
me be grateful and humble that I'm actually getting an opportunity, because there's a million actors out here who wish they can even have this.
That's about seeing the silver lining.
And that's
about
seeing
that
the silver lining. That's perspective. That's why I was talking about.
Because I didn't even have to be I didn't have to be picked at all.
Exactly.
I don't have to have no role in this project.
No role.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I called my manager. I said, let's take it. And I took it. And he said, are you sure, man? I said, I'm sure. I went for the fitting. I walk in the room. I meet the producer. I meet sound, makeup, everybody. When I walked in the room got quiet. It got stiff. It was like almost like I shook the room. And I speak on this. It was like a God presence, that love that comes in the room where you know it just touches you, bro. Mm-hmm. And it got so quiet to where they took my measurements and all this stuff. And I walked. And after they done, I was like, nice to meet all y'all. I walked out. I called my manager. I said, they're going to give me the lead role back. He was like, how you know that? I said, trust me, bro. I felt it when I walked in. I know God and I know energy. And then 2 days later, he called me back. He called me laughing. He was like, bro, they just offered you the lead role back. He was like, how did you know?
That never, man, crazy.
Trust me. He was like, how did you
bro.
know that was going to happen? And I said, bro, I felt it when I walked in the room. When God gives you a presence about life, you know it when you walk into a room, bro. Wow. And I said, I knew that was going to happen. So then I ended up getting the lead role back. We ended up shooting the film. It was an independent shot film. We took it to a festival, took it all up, but ABFF is where the film actually got acquired when we did it in Miami. Then we ended up going to the Oak Park Film Festival with Kevin Johnson, who was the mayor of Sacramento. He put the festival on just for our movie. We ended up doing Marcus Vineyard at HBO Max in New York. We ended up doing the ABFF in London. Movie just took off, and there was a lot of people who wanted it, but we knew Hulu was the way to go because it became hot on the market. And this is an independent film that blew up on its own, that got put on Hulu. This is nobody that came to us that said, we already got this movie, we doing this. This is a brother in Jamal Dudo who had an idea, who wrote a film, got it shot, got a budget for it, and now it's all over the world and one of the most top trending movies on Hulu today.
Bro, that's huge, man. So let me ask you this, man. How difficult was it? Because people think that like, oh man, if I had a scene with Halle Berry, man, how difficult is it to shoot those types of intimate scenes, because it's a lot of sex in the movie. But you guys add levity to it. It's not like, you get what I'm trying to say, but how is it, or what's the challenges of doing that?
I think
because it can't be something that you just enjoy because you got all these people looking at you.
Of course. Right. But on sets like that, you have an intimacy coordinator, which we had on our set called, her name was Tati. She was very mindful and helpful. So it's like when you shooting scenes like that, you pretty much knocking everybody off set. Only people that's there usually is the director, the intimacy coordinator, and the DP, whoever's shooting the movie.
To make everybody feel safe.
Everybody else is somewhere else. They're not even in watching it on another screen, another room, or they just out of the picture. So for us, it's about just making sure that, and it was for me, it's like I'm dealing with two women. So my attitude was always every day going to set, making sure that these women are comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So anytime we would get ready to shoot a scene, I would always ask questions like, yo, is this okay? Let me know if it's too much, if you don't like that, and they would do the same with me, but I was more so being a lot more mindful of it because I was the man in the situation with two women. You know what I'm saying? And so
it's really on you to
create that. Of course, you got to
Yeah.
create that energy because I'm the one with them. I have to be the guy that comes, and I just think who I am naturally as a person, even at times where we weren't shooting, in between scenes and just building that relationship with them, and made it a lot easier. And, when it comes to the movie, some of the most wild stuff that we shot, that when you guys watch the movie, you'll see, it doesn't happen towards the end. So we were able to build, a relationship in a way that by the time we got to do all that stuff. It's not like it was at the start of the movie. Yeah, where it was like the first thing we shot it. Like, no,
and you guys kind of shot it in sequence like that.
And we shot it in sequence like that almost. But
you don't get to do a lot of times. That's dope.
Which was actually beautiful about it too. And a lot of those shoots were night shoots. We were shooting from like 4 to 4, 7 to 7, 6 to 6. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to just basically get to know those girls in a way where we became very close, and these like my sisters
still close to this day. Everybody that you always done work with still close with you to this day. So that says
I believe about building relationships, man. And then my sisters, man. I love Brittany. I love Andrea. Andrea is just one of the most incredible actresses I've worked with to this day. She is really somebody who. She was also on Degrassi. That's how she got her start with Drake and all that stuff. So she's dope, man. Brittany's super dope. She got Iman. She got a lot of joints going on right now. So I'm happy that we were able to come together for that project.
Man, so you got Three Ways, which is right now showing on Hulu. You got Phels High, which is premiering
coming out in theaters June 23rd.
Okay,
2023. This summer, man.
This interview will be out way before that, so because I wanted to make sure. Because if it come out after, and then you telling people to go see it, they go, wait, hold on. So,
no, the deadline release, our theatrical release date is scheduled to be June 23rd.
June 23rd, okay. And man, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Yeah. What? And you done worked with so many heavy hitters so far. What dream actor? Like what actor do you want to work with? Do you just like, I can't wait to work with this person because you believe in manifesting stuff. So I want to know the actor, I want to know the actress, and I want to know the director.
Man. It would have been John Singleton before he passed. If I'm being completely
God rest
honest,
his soul. Yeah.
man, I would have thoroughly enjoyed to work with that brother, man. And I think since his passing, another one would probably be Antoine Fuqua. I definitely would love to work with him. I think some of his work is incredible. As far as actors, man, even as directors, I would love to work with Denzel on a directing side. I know a lot of people think like Denzel, you want to act with him. No, I would want him to be a director of him. I think that would be incredible.
Actors a lot of times make real good directors because they understand. They know how to speak that language.
Right? Yeah. But as far as actresses and actors, I would love to work with. Man, that's always a tough one. Jeffrey Wright, I think, is somebody I would love to work with as far as an actor, man. He's incredible. He was in characters, bro. He be disappearing, man. Jeffrey Wright is just...
He don't get enough credit for Shaft.
Come on,
man. I was like, man, I know this dude.
Cadillac Records, Muddy Waters. Come on, man. Come on, man. This brother is incredible.
Yeah.
But there are so many actors in the game I would love to work with. He's definitely one of them, man.
The fact that you said Jeffrey Wright, tell me what type of actor you are, man.
Come on.
Like, come on.
As far as actresses, I've always said this for a while now, but I think Zendaya is somebody I would love to work with.
She's talented.
She is super incredible, man.
She don't get enough credit.
And
even that joint she did with John David Washington.
David Washington, and that was something that turned the leaf for me, where I was like, I gotta work with Zendaya.
It was just them two.
I gotta work with Zendaya, man. Because again, that was a movie that she shot with just them two, and that to me showed me who she is. That's who you are as an artist. Now I gotta work with you because I only want to work with real artists, man. So, and I know it's gonna happen. We working.
Man, so that's what I was gonna say. I would say what's next, but I'm sure more big movies, especially at the Phels High and Three Ways. I mean, I'm sure you're getting hit up by people left and right.
Well, it's definitely some joints, man. I got a couple of projects lined up. We got Summer of Violence coming out. That I just shot with my homegirl Nikki. We just shot that in Colorado, which is gonna be a crazy movie based on a true story shot in the '90s about the Summer of Violence in the '90s. That's gonna be incredible, man. I got a new joint coming out with Kevin Nelson. I actually shot another joint with Kevin Nelson, which is like a psychological thriller called Don't Wake Me Up. Incredible, man. And then we got about 2 more other projects that we got coming out, man. So it's literally a couple of movies that I didn't even realize this year I was gonna have about 4 or 5 movies drop. I came home last year and shot a joint with my homegirl Heather J, who's from Detroit, because people have tried to get me to come back to Detroit and do some work, man. And I've been so busy in LA that I was like, I needed to get home and be able to do something. But we got that joint dropping too, man, with her. So yeah, man, we got some stuff in the works right now, man.
Man, well, I'm not even gonna go on this long monologue about why you inspire me because you basically just gave everybody the reasons why you do, man. But one thing about you is that you were able to just maintain your integrity, stay true to who you are, and still make it, even further than what, anybody here could even dream of. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you just getting started. So ain't no telling where you about to go next. So the fact that you did that while remaining who you are, staying true to who you are, I mean, that says everything about you, bro. That's what inspires me, man. And also, man, I just any final words for the audience, for people out there listening, and aspiring actors or just aspiring artists in general. Yeah,
I think anybody who's an artist out there, man, that's working or that's just trying to go for these dreams and whatever that may be, or whatever level of art that lives on, just understand that it's like, man, God has given it to you, man. We all wake up every day with a gift, and I always tell people, if you wake up every day, you've already received your first blessing, which is waking up, which means you have an opportunity, you have a choice and a chance. And in that choice and a chance that you have every day that you wake up, you can create whatever you want to, man. Just never give up on your dreams. I know it's almost like a cliche thing to say, but it doesn't happen overnight. And manifestation is real. And I believe one thing my father has always let me understand is that if you have undeniable faith in whatever it is that you're doing, it's going to happen for you. Why? They said in the Bible, right? You don't have to see it happening. It's like walk by faith and not by sight, right? Because if I know it's going to happen for me, I'm not worried about it because I know it's going to happen for me. You either pray or you worry. You can't do both, right? So that's my attitude towards life. I tell them all the time, bro, you can't do both. You either going to pray or you're going to worry. If I'm worrying about something, what I'm praying for.
Because when you pray, you hand it over to
God anyway, right? I have no control. So what I do is I just tend to pray about things. I leave it up to God, and I myself continue to do the work that I need to do on my end.
That's within your control.
That's within my control, because at the end of the day, that's all I can control. And for me, I tell any artist out there, just remember that, man. Just remember, no doesn't mean never. It just means not now. Don't give up on them dreams, man. Come on.
Bars.
Come on, man.
Golly. Okay, man. Well,
on.
listen, thank you so much, Jerrel. Appreciate you because you only in town for a few days. He got to get back to LA, y'all. He's a star. So thank you, bro. We got to do it again soon,
We have to, man. We have to. I appreciate you, brother. This was love, man. I love you, man.
Yes,
this
sir.
Is real
love you
love,
too, man.
That's real.
Conversations with TinBridge, y'all. Peace.